Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Judith Patterson. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Texas, and today I'm going to show you how to make 3 cards using Perched in a Tree stamps. I'm also going to be using some dies like the Aspen Tree dies, the Nested Essentials dies, and the Stylish Shapes dies. And then I'll be using this double oval punch on one card also, and I'll be using a couple of embossing folders. So there's lots of different parts to these 3 cards. If you are watching this because you've purchased or made a purchase and gotten my Perched in a Tree class to go for free with that purchase, and to do that you need to use this host code right here no, we're not in October anymore, are we? By November 14th. So when your order reaches $35 before tax and shipping and you use this host code, then I will send you these pieces. They come and they come a little bit better than this, but I put them in an envelope. So each card, the pieces for that card will be inside of an envelope, and it'll be packaged a little bit better than this whenever you get it, or additionally to this. I don't know. It's nice. Okay. And you'll be able to make 2 of each of these cards that I'm showing you. So you don't have to have all of these parts if you get the class, because I'll do all the die cutting and the punching for you, as you'll see. So let's go ahead and flip my camera around. And so again, here's the stamp set that we're using. And this is the Aspen Tree dies that go with the stamp set. So they when they first were released, you could purchase them as a bundle, but now you purchase them separately. The little 6 here, that just means how many dies are in this set, so that if I get a little crazy with my creating and I don't put things up right away, I can see I'm supposed to have 6 dies in this set, and I can find those real quick before I finish putting it away. And that's just with chalk marker. So if I ever want to change this out, then I can just erase that and put a new number up for whatever set I put on here next. All right. So like I said, you'll get, if you get the class to go from me, I go ahead and cut your card base and cut all of your pieces for your card. When you have to do any stamping, I always give you 2 of those pieces. That way, if you make a boo-boo, then you have multiple chances to get it right, and you still don't have to worry about having these dies or punches. Okay, so let's start with a little bit of stamping. I just need my Memento ink. And I'm going to stamp right here on this piece of cardstock. And then I'm going to get the bird. I'm going to stamp it on this piece of cardstock. And these dies, this shape is from the Nested Essentials. It's the largest rectangle in that set. And then I'm going to use my blends to color these. The picture on the cover of this YouTube video, I used the light colors, but I've gone ahead and colored another one. And I like to use the brush tip when I'm coloring usually. And I used the light and the dark on this one. So that one is ready to go. And then I have a, for this one, I'm just going to fussy cut around it with my paper snips here. When you're fussy cutting I recommend always moving your cardstock rather than your scissors as much as possible. You want your scissors to be still. Okay, so I finished that up off camera, so you didn't have to sit and watch me doing all that fussy cutting. So there is our sentiment, and you can also, if you prefer, so you can also just cut straight across the bottom, straight across the top, go straight down, straight up. It's not perfect. You can use your paper trimmer if you want to get it perfectly straight. But then instead of using this smaller piece, you could use this bigger piece right here. I like the fuzzy cut. I know not everybody likes that though. Okay, so you have 3 strips and a piece of Night of Navy. So the strips are going to be centered on here just like so. You want to check your spacing before you start gluing anything down. I know everybody has their favorite adhesive. Mine is liquid glue and Stampin' Dimensionals. I use tons and tons of those. I don't know what is going on with my brightness on my look. Okay, that's better. Glad I looked up. Okay, so for some things I like to start in the middle. This one I'm always afraid I'm going to get it crooked or not have enough room, so I lay it all on there as close to perfectly as I can get it, and then start with an outside piece so that I know it's straight along the edge there, and then work my way to the other side. There we go. And then this piece, I'm going to use that liquid glue again. Oh boy, this is why I like liquid glue. So I'm going to add a little bit more. I was getting it pretty crooked. I wanted to make sure it's straight. There we go. So much better. Okay. And then with the bird, I'm going to use my Stampin' Dimensionals. So not every card I make, but almost every card I make, I use plenty of Stampin' Dimensionals and my trusty liquid glue. And it's so funny because years ago, I didn't use liquid glue at all. I used Stampin' Seal. But now I just really like the liquid glue. Okay, so I'm going to use those dimensionals again. There we go. If you want to, you can, and I am going to do this. I'm going to get a little mini Stampin' Dimensional. You could also just cut off the edge of your dimensionals. I'm going to cut it in half. Going to put it together to where it's 2 dimensionals thick. Then I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of this right under here, just to support that P a little bit better. Okay, so I don't know if that was on camera or not, but that would probably be a good idea to do before you flipped it over. I just didn't think about it that time. And I'm using iridescent pearl basic jewels. I'm using only small ones because, as you can see, I use these a lot. These I've colored with blends, but and all I have left are the small ones, so I'm just going to go ahead and use those. And I'm actually going to put one, I don't know, there's good. And there we go. And that's all there is to this card. And you can, of course, move your pearls wherever you want them. I said that's all there is. I am going to also add the inside of the card. So for the inside of this one, I just have a strip. It's the centerpiece here. So I'll just cut a 1/2 inch strip. I'm going to put that on the edge. There we go. Isn't that pretty on that boho blue base? And then, of course, you have your envelope to go with it. Okay, so for this next card, it's a pecan pie base. This card is perfect for fall because it has pecan pie and pumpkin pie colors in it. Makes me really ready for Thanksgiving. Okay, so the first thing that we have is there's 2 pieces of fairly large basic white. And they should be packaged where the slightly smaller piece is on top. That's the one you're going to need for the front of the card. And then the larger piece should be underneath that one, and that will go inside your card. So just set that aside for now. And you have lots of little leaves and things. So the first thing that you want to do is get a sponge dauber and your balmy blue ink pad. And what you're going to do is just dab blue. Boy, you can't even see that, can you? We get a little bit more ink. So you want to dab blue just willy-nilly all over. You're going to repeat that with a different sponge dauber. I used lemon lime twist, and then I had one for pumpkin pie. So I've got a different sponge dauber for each one. And then I finished with pecan pie. So this is what it ends up as. You just want to be real random and cover the whole thing in color. All these colors make me think of fall leaves and when the leaves change and start to fall off, and it's just so pretty. We don't have tons of that where I live, but the little bit that we do have is great. So I'm just going to kind of go around now and fill in. I've already added some blue on here because that was the base, but I'm going to go in and make the blue a little bit darker and fill in between all of these pieces. And I'm kind of dabbing and kind of brushing. It does take a little bit to cover this with all the different colors, so I thought y'all might not want to watch that whole process. This doesn't take too long, especially if you get it really covered from in the beginning with the blues and or the one blue, the balmy blue. Really been playing around with different kinds of backgrounds with this set, just because I like the way when you're using the aspen tree die, I like the way the colors peek through the trees. Okay, so the next step, this has been embossed with a Timber 3D embossing folder, and then I cut it out with the aspen die. And isn't that pretty, the way all those colors just peek through those tree trunks and limbs there? I don't know if y'all can hear, but my cat does not understand why the door is closed and he can't come in. It's because he likes to get up on my desk and up in the middle of everything, and I don't want him knocking my camera over. But he is protesting, especially because he hears me talking now, and he knows I'm in here without him, and there's nobody else here. So he doesn't understand why he's being left out. He's a very chatty boy. Okay, so there's that. I like to use a lot of Stampin' Dimensionals, so I went ahead and put my dimensionals on the back of this. I did cut some of those little ones in half, and I've got big ones on here, little ones on here, and ends on here. So I've got it pretty covered. That way nothing sags anywhere. And I'm just gonna center that right here. I need to pull it down just a smidge to make sure I've got the whole piece covered. There we go. So there's that. So the next thing that I did is I cut out all of these leaves. These are pumpkin pie and lemon lime twist colors. So for the front of the card, I'm just going to use one big of each color and one small of each color. And then I'm using the same ink colors, and I'm going to add some color to this. Now, of course, this is optional. It's up to you as to whether you want to do this part or not. But for this green one, I'm going to add a little bit of orange to the center. And then for the orange one, I'm going to add a little bit of orange over here on the side. Then for the big ones, I also added some lemon lime twist. But for these smaller ones, I'm just going to go straight to pumpkin pie. I don't want it super dark, but kind of dark. And it's up to you how much of each color you add. And I do like to lift it up and then just kind of flick around the sides and really darken those edges up. And then I'll do the same thing with the orange on this one, the pumpkin pie. Okay. And I've already done the larger ones, so they're ready to go. So see, I did some green there, or lemon lime twist. So on the back of this, just going to start gluing these together. I think right about there is a good spot to start. So it doesn't really matter how you do this. But I try to keep the stems at about the same level, and I don't want it to stick. I want it to stick out a little bit further than this, but not a lot further. So there we go. That's pretty perfect. All right, so then I'm going to take that pecan pie again. And this time I'm using the sentiment that says, no matter the season, I'm here for you. And then this one, before I add it to my card, I'm going to go ahead and just put a little dot of liquid glue, and then I'm going to take my bow and set it on there, and I'm just going to take a spare block and put it on there for it to dry for just a second. And while it's drying, I'm going to clean my desk off a little bit. Okay, I think that's good. I'm just going to take my dimensionals. Could probably really get away with 3, but I decided to use 4 along the back of this. So I'm just going to put this right under the leaves. And then for the inside, I have another couple of the small leaves. So what I'm going to do is first add in my inside here. I always like to have a nice white piece. I feel like it helps it look a little bit more finished. I like the frame around the white, but also I think it's easier to read if you're writing on the white than these, especially these darker colors. So I'm going to start, actually, you know what I think I'm going to do is just add a little bit of glue right here. And again, there's not really any rhyme or reason to this, except I wasn't sure how I wanted it. So I'm going to put that right there. And then I'm going to glue those in right there. Really like using the sticky side of my Take Your Pick tool to pick things up, especially smaller die cut pieces, or if I have a bunch of adhesive on the back of something. Okay, so there is that card. And then our next card is all just red and white, and I think it might be my favorite. I'm not sure. I really like the fall card, but I love this two-tone. So I've used the Merry Melody embossing folder on this piece. So I'm just going to use my liquid glue again. You can use Stampin' Seal or whatever it is you prefer. I'm going to center it right here on this real red piece. Ooh. Then I'm going to take this piece and center it on my basic white cardstock. This is the thick basic white cardstock. I really recommend using that if you're doing a white card base. Holds up a lot better. It's nice and sturdy. There we go. Okay, and then the pieces that you are going to be stamping on, you have this white oval from the punch. So of course I give you a backup in case this doesn't go so well. And then you have the square piece as well. And of course there's two of those also. So the first thing that we want to do is get that pecan pie and the branch. So I'm just going to ink that up. And I want my branch to go almost all the way across. Can y'all see what I'm doing? Yeah, you can see what I'm doing. And I've got it angled a little bit. So then I want the real red. And I'm just kind of guessing at where his little feet are going to be. I know that looking at my stamp at the back of it, so he's kind of raised up. He's a little bit higher. So I know to go just a little bit higher than I think. So there's no coloring of this one. I'm just going to leave it right like that. I'm through with the pecan pie. So I'm going to go ahead and close it so I don't get my fingers in it. Then I'm going to use the real red again. And I'm going to stamp Let Heaven and Nature Sing right here on my oval. I really like the photopolymer stamps that you can see through. It's kind of a guessing game with these that are not. Huh. See how that turned out. I like that one a little bit better, so we're going to go with that one. I wanted just the tiniest little red border around this piece, and that's what I got. Okay, so dimensionals. Okay, and then this piece, I wanted a red background behind my sentiment. So the scalloped punch has a smooth oval that you can put in the middle, but that wasn't big enough for my sentiment. And I really didn't want it to be a big background anyway. So I'm going, so here's the center. And I'm going to cut above it, just straight across. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to glue it to the back just like that. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut off just a little bit here and a little bit here. I mean just the little bittiest bit. Okay, so I'm going to put that there. glue all over my fingers. Okay, I did something weird. I'm gonna try that again. And then this bottom piece here, see how it's got that little curl out? So I'm going to cut that off. I really don't think I needed to cut anything off the other side. I got carried away. There we go. And then I'm going to add my glue. And I'm going to put this down here below to where it's just peeking out. That looks good. Always keep your adhesive remover handy for moments like this when you get adhesive somewhere you really don't want it. So that cleaned up really nicely. And now I'm going to take one dimensional, it's just a normal size dimensional, cutting it in half, and I'm going to put it along the bottom. I'm going to take my liquid glue, put it along the top, and then I'm putting this right under the branch. Okay, I'm going to use my little iridescent pearls again. I'm just going to kind of put these everywhere. So I want one there. I'm going to fill in this corner a little bit, put a few up there. And then I'm going to add one more because they say you're supposed to have an odd number. So I'm going to put one more down here. For the inside of this card, it's already white. So I think that what I'm going to do is get a scrap piece of paper. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to fold this over. And I'm going to put it along the edge because I don't want to stamp there. And then I'm going to take my bird. I'm going to stamp off once. I'm going to bring it pretty low. And stamp right here on the edge. So then I just have a little bit of the bird right there on the inside. And then, if you would like, you could also take your envelope, ink up your bird again, stamp off one more time, and this time I think I'm going to stamp him a little bit more on the envelope. There we go. You could do that. Let me clean them off. So if you would like, you could go back and do an envelope like that for all of your cards. So I would use the Balmy Blue for the fall card. Stamp off once. Just have a sweet little Balmy Blue bird on that one. And then if you have a boho blue ink pad, that's what I would use for that first card. So it's a light color. I'm just gonna stamp off a little bit. Since I'm going blue to blue and I'm going from lighter to darker, I'm not worried about cleaning my stamp too much this time. I'm gonna stamp off once and right about there. There we go. So It was a little messy, huh? I love that grid paper. It helps if you need to measure. It's great for stamping off. It's great for when you're using Stampin' blends, or not Stampin' blends, blending brushes or sponge daubers. It's just really great to have that. Okay, so there's the first card. There's our second card. See if I can zoom this out a little bit. There we go. And there's our third card. And like I said, when you get the kit, you will have enough paper pieces to make 2 of each card. And for this one, I did go ahead and include the bow already tied for you, ready to go, so you just have to glue it down. And if your order with the host code reaches $50 before tax and shipping, then you'll get a full package of iridescent pearls basic jewels. And I think I need to give myself a package of these as well, because my orders are always at least $50 and I'm about out of these. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions about these cards or Stampin' Up in general, just stamping in general, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to answer your questions and help in any way that I can. I hope you're having a great weekend. Happy stamping.